In October of 2016, YouTuber John Sedano wowed the world with his amazing vocal covers of popular music. The following is an ode to his illustrious body of work.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb and the shape of an L on her forehead.
All right, so here's my question. Why does that work? Why can't I just copy and paste the melody of Smash Mouth's All-Star on top of the piano riff to Don't Stop Believing? In order to adequately answer this question, I'm afraid we're going to need to use some theory. So I've transposed both songs to the key of F major. Now the first word, somebody, F, C, and A, outlines an F major triad, and that is, of course, the first chord in this transposition of Don't Stop Believing. And there's a bunch of other spots where All-Star really works with the accompaniment to Don't Stop Believing. For example, the word world is a B flat, and it's a rhythmic anticipation of the next measure, C. And that rhythmic anticipation is mirrored in the bass line to Don't Stop Believing, right here, the C down here. Now, B flat isn't part of the C chord, however, B flat is part of a C7 chord, and the composite of hearing the B flat in the melody and the C chord here makes our ear hear the C7. That works really well. C7 is the dominant chord in the key of F major. There's a bunch of other spots. For example, ain't the sharpest tool in the shed outlines a D minor 7 chord. We have a C here, we have an A here, and then this is kind of an accented passing tone on this G, but then we have this F and this D. That's a D minor 7. That's great. And then we also have another rhythmic anticipation on the word shed, which is mirrored conveniently enough in the bass line. It goes a little bit beyond this though, because you could conceivably pair any number of different songs with Don't Stop Believing.
Yellow diamonds in the light, and we're standing side by side.
She didn't have to cut me off, make out like it never happened, and now we were.
Part of the reason why so many songs work with this riff is because the riff is a variation on the infamous 1-5-6-4 chord progression, one of the most common chord progressions in pop music. You may recall that Axis of Awesome already did a really long, exhaustive medley of a bunch of these songs and was a viral thing, and yeah, you can go check it out. But notably, Smash Mouth's All-Star does not have this 1-5-6-4 chord progression. It's paired with a completely different one in its original incarnation. All-Star and a lot of other pop songs work with Don't Stop Believing because of the amazing flexibility of the major scale. So many pop songs share the same sonic palette of the diatonic scale, and also share a similar structure of 4-bar phrase lengths with cyclic chord progressions. Chord progressions which repeat with little or no sense of final cadence. This means that as long as two songs have tempos which are reconcilable, there's a high probability that they will work together in the sense that there will be no egregious harmonic and melodic clashes. This is really exciting for the intrepid musician because now they have the opportunity to recombine and recontextualize a massive catalog of music. We would be tempted to call this style mashup, right? Because there's this huge scene of DJs and bootleggers and all kinds of electronic musicians who take multiple recordings of different popular songs and pair them together. Every year, DJ Earwig releases a mashup of snippets of whatever the top pop songs from that year are, and artists like Girl Talk popularized the genre by pairing fairly unusual songs together. Honestly, if you want to learn more about this genre, just go read the Wikipedia page because it goes far more in depth than this video ever could. Weird, sometimes obnoxious pairings of different songs could only come from the irreverence and the irony of internet culture. Or could it? The practice of this craft goes back so far that the technical name for it is in Latin. Quodlibet is the practice of combining two or more popular songs into one. Yeah, sorry, I just couldn't resist the Vsauce parody. Let's go talk about Quodlibet some more, shall we? While the word goes back to the 13th century, the practice became really popular in the 16th century with the advent of the imitation or parody mass. Composers would weave in sections of fairly lewd popular secular songs into the middle of the sacred Catholic mass. It was an enormously popular style of music at the time. The great Italian composer Palestrina wrote about 50 of them. The Counter-Reformation of the Catholic Church during the Council of Trent would put an end to this practice, but not before it spread to Protestant Germany, where it would continue to evolve. Johann Sebastian Bach wrote a Quodlibet as his 30th and final variation to his famous Goldberg Variations. Bach's family was really big on this. Pianist Glenn Gould explains.
It's a combination of German popular songs of Bach's time, but apparently it was the fashion that the family sat around their living rooms trying to harmonize popular tunes together within the same harmonic framework, you see. The two tunes in this are, I've forgotten the names of the songs in German, but they're both very dirty songs.
So yes, the Goldberg Variations end with whatever is the 18th century equivalent of Soulja Boy.
I mean, just look at it. Look at that filthy smut.
When we listen to this, it's kind of hard to get in on the joke of it because we don't have the same sort of cultural connotation here in the 21st century than Bach did in the 18th century. It's also kind of jarring to think about the stark juxtaposition of the sacred and the profane that Bach used. Was he really thinking about it as a joke or as something more? Quodlibet doesn't have to be comedic. In fact, sometimes it can be quite profound. Nina Simone famously accompanied herself playing Little Girl Blue with Good King Wenceslas.
Sit there, count the raindrops falling on you each time.
There's a tendency among jazz musicians to quote other melodies while they're improvising. In fact, it's kind of a point of pride to see how many different kinds of melodies you can weave within one solo. Which, let's be honest, usually just involves a bunch of jazz bros getting together quoting the lick at one another. Probably the best example of this is when Igor Stravinsky went to see Charlie Parker play at Birdland in 1947. Alfred Appel recalls, at the beginning of his second chorus of Coco, Charlie Parker interpolated the opening of Stravinsky's Firebird Suite as though it had always been there, a perfect fit. Stravinsky roared with delight, pounding his glass on the table, the upward arc of the glass sending its liquor and ice cubes onto the people behind him who threw up their hands or ducked. The image of Stravinsky getting rowdy at a jazz club in the 1940s to a bebop mashup of his ballet at 300 beats per minute is actually a perfect description of what the literal translation of Quodlibet is, which is what pleases. Nina Simone, Charlie Parker, Bach, Palestrina, and John Sedano all worked with tying in disparate musical references to develop and augment their own musical language.
Sick reference though, bro.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Dude, your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
Now, simultaneous melodies and mashups have a long history in opera and musical theater. Individual songs from earlier on in the show will often be paired to elucidate new meanings for characters and scenes. The American composer Irving Berlin is strongly associated with this practice. Perhaps you're familiar with the Tomorrow Night Quodlibet from South Park the movie. This is what TV Tropes calls the massive multiplayer ensemble number, used to tie many of the songs from the first act together through elaborate counterpoint. In the movie Amadeus, there's a great scene where Mozart describes how all of this comes together in his opera The Marriage of Figaro.
Duet turns into trio. Then the husband's valet comes in. He's plotting with the maid. Trio turns into quartet. Then a stupid old gardener comes in. Quartet becomes quintet. And so on and on and on. Sextet, septet, octet. You can have 20 individuals all talking at the same time, and it's not noise, it's a perfect harmony.
So, in the spirit of Mozart, I tried to figure out, well, how far could I go with my Smash Mouth Journey Quodlibet? I picked a bunch of songs which more or less had the same tempo and tried to figure out ways of mashing them up together.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb and the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. True to the rules and I'll hit the ground running. Till it makes sense to look for fun. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with thinking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't go.
Falling in my skin, these arms they will not hold. Fear is how I go. Confusing most of Israel. Discomfort endlessly has built itself upon me. Distracting, reactive to find myself again. My walls are closing in.
Without a sense of confidence, I'm convinced that there's just too much pressure to take.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Adam Neely. I have a new video coming out every Monday. If If you enjoyed what I do, please comment, like, and subscribe, and also consider joining my Patreon, like these fine people have done below. It is through them and your continued support and viewing that I'm able to do this sort of thing and spend a lot of time editing Quodlibets of Smash Mouth and other people. It was fun, right? Yeah. All right. Just making sure. Until next time.
Bass.